What a summer of boxing we have. Amir Khan in Las Vegas, that's a unification world title fight. The Olympics with 10 GB boxers, 7 men and 3 women, going for glory and gold in London. And at Upton Park on July 14th, the biggest fight in British boxing history. Yes, it is Del Boy Chisora against former world champion David Haye. Now, the man in charge of getting David ready for the summer showdown is Adam Booth, and it's a pleasure to welcome Adam to the show. Adam, first of all, it's a lively-looking summer on all fronts. Fair comment?
Not bad for boxing fans, eh, Steve?
It's terrific for boxing fans. I couldn't agree more. If you like Vegas, terrific. If you like your domestic fights, sharing a stadium with 40,000 people and the hair standing up on the back of your neck, then Upton Park is your venue. OK, Adam, the deal's done. We've had the press conference with a medal across. David is in proper training now, and will you train here or maybe go out to Northern Cyprus? What's the story?
Yeah, we're in full training. I think we're in week 3 now. Don't feel tired. These are the hard days. It's going to be in London.
Going to be in London, just in the Vauxhall
gym. He promotes the fight right as well.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you've got to make sure that he's ready for this fight, because we're under no illusions that because of style and attributes, this is probably David's toughest fight that he's had. I personally believe it's going to be a much harder fight than the Vladimir one. The Vladimir one was a tricky one, because whenever either of them wanted to engage, both of them became very defensive. And this one isn't going to be like that, because Derek's not like that.
In an ideal world, Adam, and we do live, we don't live in an ideal world, certainly not heavyweight boxing. It's not an ideal world. Would you have had some type of in-between fight before taking on a pressure fighter like Chisora?
In order to achieve what, though? Because if you're gonna have a pressure fighter like Derek, then you're gonna have a hard fight.
Sure.
And you don't really want a hard fight before going into a hard fight. David's experienced enough now to know what he has to do to get himself into shape for a fight like this. He knows what he's got to do technically, and he knows what he's going to do physically. He's experienced, he's skillful, so it's now just a question of getting him in the best fighting shape, not boxing shape,
Sure.
but the best fighting shape that he can get into.
Has he been out of shape, either physically or mentally, in the last year or so?
For that, Steve, you know that.
Yeah.
He's too vain for that.
Yeah,
and I think
we said that straight away. Yeah,
he's always doing something. So he's managed to. I think the good thing is that he's managed to keep himself in shape whilst not using up his fighting energy.
Good.
He does other things that keep his body in good condition and eats healthily.
Yeah.
So when it comes time to actually preparing for a fight, he hasn't burned up his fighting energy over a long period of time.
Now you've been with him for, you've been in serious or into the tunnel, that working tunnel that ends on July 14th when you walk out in front of all those fans. Have you seen any difference in him, or noticed any difference, or is to you, if you just squint your eyes, is it just David starting to get ready for a big fight?
It's funny because I think in a lot of professional fighters' careers, the vast majority of fights they have against guys that they don't have a problem with. If it wasn't the fact that they had a fight arranged, these guys wouldn't be fighting each other the majority of the time. But whether the fight was arranged by any boxing federation, any promoter, whatever it is, whether it was or wasn't arranged formally, these two would still want to fight each other, because firstly they're fighters, and secondly they have a true dislike for each other, and thirdly because they're heavyweights. That's just a recipe for great boxing entertainment.
Yeah, it certainly is a recipe. Have you
in answer to your question, yes, he's well and truly in the tunnel, because from that press conference in Munich, it became personal.
Yeah, no, listen, I know that. Adam, with regard to how personal this is, can you remember in your lifetime not watching it on TV or not hearing about it, but actually being involved at any level, whether it was 12-year-olds boxing in the schoolboy semi-finals or professional? Have you been involved with in any fight where it's been this personal?
No.
Can you think of anything? I can't.
No, and now you've maybe go back that far. My memory isn't that good, but no, of course not. Firstly, not being this personal, and as personal it is, is equally as high profile as well.
Yeah, of course.
And that's it's a rare combination in this sport. But no, I've never been involved in anything where there's so much acidity in David's attitude towards Derek.
Does that worry you slightly? I mean, because bear in mind you're a professional, David's a professional. Does it worry you slightly that it is this personal?
No, because because they're both going to get the perfect opportunity to satisfy themselves.
Yeah. Yes, that's absolutely true. OK, let's leave David for a minute. George Groves, bit of bad luck a couple of times, injured here and injured nose here. What's the latest on George fighting again? Are you back in line for Stieglitz, or has Abrahams nicked that slot, or is there a chance of finally the Anderson fight, Anderson 2, happening? Is there any update you can give us on George, Adam?
Yeah, firstly, it's been a very frustrating time for George. And a learning curve, because as a professional sportsman, you have to get used to dealing with the frustrations of injuries. He's had to do that twice in a row. So he's got over that. He's now fit to box. That was a couple of weeks ago that he was cleared, that the swelling and the damage to his nose is now gone. So he's fit to box. He's in full training. Arthur Abrams hasn't stolen the position off George. It was actually the contrary. George was allowed to jump in front of Arthur Abrams, because Arthur Abrams allowed George to do that on the proviso that the winner of George and Stieglitz would fight Abrams in August. Well, because George was injured, it meant that he had to jump back out of jumping back in front of him. So now Arthur Abrams has got his rightful position to challenge Stieglitz, and then George is the next in line. And still to date, the only contract George has signed is for the rematch with Kenny Anderson. So now he's fit to box, and that's the one that we're waiting for.
Could that happen before September? Could that be slotted in somewhere in the summer, somehow, somewhere?
I hope so, because...
On the undercard of July 14?
He's been revved up. Well, that's a bit of a press. That's not a British Boxing Board of Control show at this moment in time.
Of course not, yeah. Mind you, there again, I suppose there have been German title fights on shows in Germany that haven't taken place on shows under the auspices of either of the two German federations. But that is a whole different can of worms, and I don't think we've got time, or I don't think we should go down that route. Listen, Adam, it's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. I'll see you closer to the July 14 date, and give my best to everybody in your gym.
Thanks, Steve. Speak to you soon. No.